Hey y'all. I switched from written text to spoken audio tracks for my film reviews in order to make them more simple, straight to the point, and casual to help get across my opinion on films. The timing for District 9 could not have been better. I've been in the mood to see a sci-fi, and I haven't seen a real good one since The Day the Earth Stood Still, all the way back in January, when it was just about to leave theaters. I saw Terminator Salvation, and it was good, but it was forgettable to the point where I actually forgot I saw it, and I've had no desire to see Transformers 2. I saw District 9 the Friday it came out. I didn't see the midnight premiere, but I saw it later that day. I meant to do this review the Saturday after the premiere, but I got caught up in other things and ended up going down to the shore. Luckily, down at the shore, I got to see District 9 a second time, and I enjoyed it as much as I did the second time as the first. I didn't see much in the way of trailers for this film beyond a few TV spots, and I was aware it was on a lower budget compared to the other films that have come out this summer, but man, I was pleasantly surprised. That's an understatement. This film blew away my expectations. I mean, this film was just awesome. Previously, I thought the best film this year was Observe and Report. This film definitely tops it. In fact, I think it's the best film I've seen in the last several years. Now, I understand that there was a lot of hype behind this film now, but I don't watch a lot of TV or research films on the internet, so I wasn't aware of that before I saw it. I learned afterwards. After seeing this film, I looked around online at various comments on the film. I was pretty surprised at what I saw. Most people gave it thumbs up and said it was a great movie, but some people just seemed to be trying to find a reason not to like it, basically nitpicking it to death. The thing about this film that was most frequently attacked was its originality. Now, unless a film closely follows the plot of another film or another work of fiction, I don't judge it on its originality. I'm sure I could find something to compare the originality of those films to. I said films, not one film. Even if I had to go digging way into the past, I'm sure I could find a piece of literature to compare those films to. Now, when someone tells you District 9 is unoriginal, don't believe them. It's bullshit, and they know it too. Diving into the core of this movie, the plot, it centers around the main character Vicus and his involvement with District 9. The plot comes off as very dark and disturbing, not because of the shock value, but because it's believable. I find it more comparable to the Holocaust than any other film. I'm not going to reveal too much about the plot simply because it's so unpredictable and, of course, good. It starts off as a generic documentary talking about Vicus and saying basically something happened to him. Right off the bat, people state he's not very bright, and he comes off to me as a bit eccentric. This is another big issue people had with District 9. Some people just did not like Vicus. This was probably because he's not a typical sci-fi protagonist who has all the answers, or has their morals straight. Vicus is just an ordinary guy who manages a project in District 9. He does good things and he does bad things. In other words, a fleshed out, three-dimensional character. He's unpredictable, and partially I think that's what makes this film great, is its character development. The film's other main character, an alien named Christopher, was also surprisingly fleshed out. He wasn't anything like Vicus, but equally entertaining. The atmosphere of this film was also surprisingly good, mainly with its consistency and variety. The shacks that the aliens live in all have their own personal touches, and the people in the cities react and look the way they should. One of the things I loved about the visuals was the attention to the weapons. The main forces, the MNU, all had standard issue bullpup rifles, but the PMC guys and rebels all had different rifles with customized optics, and they held them accordingly. This is definitely something a casual viewer will pick up on, and it's a nice break from the general good guys have M16s, bad guys have AKs. And of course, there's a unique alien weaponry that looks like something out of my Ratchet and Clank games. The audio and visuals were top notch, and the action was also stunning. It wasn't anything particularly inventive, but it was a much different take on what we've already seen. For example, someone pointed out to me that the camera angles kind of reminded you of a video game. Just some really unique perspectives on what's going on. The action is incredibly intense since you genuinely care what happens to the characters. But also, those of you who felt recent action films weren't brutal enough will be very happy. Not only do people get riddled with bullets and dismembered, they get gibbed. Pieces of flesh fly everywhere, and on multiple occasions the camera gets splattered with blood. I've loved stuff like that, and it is immensely satisfying. Considering the fact that I'm not familiar with any of these actors, the acting is fantastic. The characters always portray the emotions they're feeling properly and come off as extremely believable. Good directing is definitely to blame here. Even the aliens portray emotion believably. And I don't know if they're CG or puppets. That tells you a thing about the animation. I've got two main gripes with this film. First, I found the supporting characters to be very one-dimensional. I find this really stands out because of how fleshed out the main characters Vicus and Christopher are. Now the other characters, Vicus's wife, father-in-law, and the main PMC guy, come off as very predictable. The actors still did a good job, but that's no excuse for their characters to be stereotypes. For example, Vicus is madly in love with his wife, but we don't see why. And why is the PMC guy so pissed off at Vicus and the aliens? I will admit though, he's pretty badass. And overall, all the characters are pretty entertaining. So this ends up being a flaw that's easy to overlook. My other gripe with this film is the documentary parts. They're so generic and bland, I was actually pretty scared when the film started out with these. They flash a few characters that talk about what's going on, but they have little involvement with the plot. By the time you see them again, you'll probably forget who they are. They should have done these parts like a news story with graphics and a reporter. Luckily, these parts are so few and far between that it didn't really hinder the film much for me. All in all, this is a pretty damn good movie. Definitely one of the best I've seen in years. The suspense is nail-biting, the action is intense, and the plot gets under your skin and tears away at you. Not because of the dark nature of the film, but because you genuinely care what happens next to the characters. None of the recent horror films I've seen can even top the intensity of this film. It's extremely well written, well directed, and well done visuals. Because of the dark nature of the film, it won't appeal to everyone. But if you're a fan of action or sci-fis, I highly recommend you see District 9. After all is said and done, I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Not perfect, but damn close. This is Fox Zero thanking you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my review for District 9. More to come soon.